Hey, everybody. I am super excited today because we've got another great edition of Real Insights. And today I've got a very special guest. So we've talked to different agents from Real, and this gentleman here today is a YouTube guru. He is taking video marketing to the next level. And without any further ado, I want to introduce my guest today, Malcolm Lawson. Malcolm, introduce yourself and take it away.
Hey, Jeff. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm super excited. I've been with Real Broker for 3 years now. I'm dedicated to this company. I'm dedicated my life to this company. And yeah, my background is as a YouTuber. I've been doing YouTube probably 10, 11 years now. My biggest channel was an outdoor camping channel. I got that up to 180,000 subscribers.
Wait,
as much as
180?
80,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was making as much as $10,000 a month off that channel. So I consider myself a full-time YouTuber. And I kind of got bored with that and I walked away. And then I started a new channel, got my real estate channel. I got that up to 27,000 subscribers before I got bored with that and walked away from that one. And now my primary focus, I got a few other smaller channels, but my primary focus is my Real Broker channel. And I've got that up to 11,000 views a month on content all about Real Broker, doing interviews just like this. And yeah, one of the biggest things that kind of attracted me to Real is just the focus on video and social media and content creation. And there's just a huge community of agents there that we get to tap into. And yeah, I just love being part of that community and connecting with people like you who are doing things like live streams and interviews and videos, and just that content creation side of things is what I love.
Well, I think it's so key now, right? Be it the way the market's shifting, or if it's a settlement or whatever it happens to be, we're all looking for different ways to create content, especially on video. Yeah. And I'll tell you, a lot of agents, I was at I think I was share with you, I was at a Tom Ferry event this week, Marketing Gadget, Jason Pantana. It was awesome. Some great content, but just in kind of talking to some other people in the halls, the other agents there, it can be overwhelming for an agent to jump into video. And if an agent hasn't done video, where would you kind of push them, or where would you, have them get started?
Yeah, great question. And you're absolutely right. It can be intimidating to get on video and just kind of get started with that. And so for a lot of people, what I actually recommend is that you start with Facebook, right? If you're on Facebook, you probably have a community on there, and like who's on your Facebook? It's going to be your friends and your family. Like, they're the most forgiving. If they see you doing a live stream, they're going to get so excited. Like, oh my gosh, Malcolm's doing a live stream. Like, that's my friend. That's my family member. And they're going to be super positive, super supportive, and just like they want to see you succeed. And so I'd say start with Facebook, because it's going to be primarily your friends and family. It's a great way to get comfortable on camera. And then, maybe work up to like Instagram, maybe start doing some vertical videos, some Instagram reels, and those reels can publish on Instagram and Facebook. And both those platforms, the videos don't have to be anything elaborate. They can be very simple, literally just you talking into your phone or you doing a live stream like this. And then I'd say YouTube is probably the hardest social media platform out of all of them. YouTube generally has much longer videos, and most people do a lot more editing on those videos. There's more production involved in that. And so if you're brand new to, video, trying to jump into YouTube can be very intimidating, and you can definitely do it. But if you may want to take these baby steps, do a couple of live streams on Facebook, do some Instagram reels. And then as you get more comfortable on video, then kind of upgrade to, the big boy level and start getting on YouTube like this.
Yeah, I think that's a great cadence, Malcolm, because what I have seen here is I've seen a lot of agents will say, I want to do video, and they jump into YouTube, and it's almost the reverse order of what you suggested, and that's challenging. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you got to do long form, and they do have to be edited. They do have to be more production to be successful. I mean, I think that YouTube it's more competition, and it's interesting mentioning Facebook. This week was an interesting change, is that Facebook was taking long form videos, and there was two sections on your Facebook page. You could go for videos, and it had the long form, horizontal videos, and then it had a spot for reels. But now today it's just under videos. And if you go to that slot there, it's basically it's all of your videos, be it your horizontal long form or your vertical. And which I think, to me, I interpret that as Meta, Facebook and Instagram saying, hey, we like the vertical videos. We want to de-emphasize the kind of the long form horizontal. What is your interpretation of that change?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Like YouTube is obviously a powerhouse. It is huge. YouTube generates billions of views, probably a month. And they're actually competing with like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon now, right? You
It's
see
wild.
YouTube
Yeah.
on your TV, and people are watching just as much YouTube as they are these other shows. What's really interesting, you have somebody like Mr. Beast, he'll get 190 million views on one of his videos. And how much did that cost YouTube to create that video? It cost them nothing. This is the users creating this. You look at somebody like Netflix, and they'll have a series and maybe that gets 100 million views, which is great. And they spent $100 million to create that series to get those views. So it's super interesting. This user generated model. The legacy media companies, even for entertainment, like Netflix and Hulu, like they can't compete with this. And so obviously Facebook has seen YouTube have the success. They took their stab at trying to compete with them, and it really didn't take off. People don't go to Facebook for long form content. It's very similar to how Facebook took a stab at taking on Twitter, right? Or Instagram has their thing that's competing with Twitter.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking
That
about a
no
few
one
months
uses
ago.
really.
Nobody uses it now.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to take Twitter, they can't. They try to compete with YouTube, they can't. And so now what they are seeing is they can get some traction and try to compete with TikTok. And so it makes sense to me that they are emphasizing the vertical videos on Facebook. I'm not gonna lie. I don't go to TikTok because I know how much of a time suck it is. There's really no value there. I don't learn anything. I don't really connect with people. It's just a time suck. I go to Facebook because I do want to connect with people. I want to comment. I want to see posts. I want to see my friends and family. And I get sucked into the rabbit hole of watching those dang vertical videos
Yeah. They
on
just keep
Facebook.
coming. They
They
just keep
do, man.
coming.
They
Yeah.
just keep showing up on
And
my feed. And next thing I know, I've been sitting there for 10 minutes. So I'm sure other people are getting stuck like that as well. I'm sure they're having a lot of success with these vertical videos. And so from our standpoint as a content creator, like that's a huge opportunity right now. Facebook
it
wants to
it
take
really
on
is.
TikTok.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I think I think your cadence is right. So it's like, okay, now Facebook's looking to promote these reels. And now if I'm an agent, and I think I love the way you said to get started in video markets, like go to Facebook. It's going to be the most forgiving.
Yeah.
And to your point, they're gonna help pump these reels out. So go on there and talk about what you're passionate about. But now, and agents are doing that, and many agents just don't. Many of us just don't stick with it because it's like it's like you're not seeing the results. So what is kind of that? I guess what would be the next step? You're on there, you're doing the vertical videos, you're going out there, you're getting some views. I guess how does an agent, I don't want to maybe monetize that, but how does an agent have that help their business on Facebook at this point?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that people try to get in a video and they don't remain consistent with it. This is a very common pattern. They try it for a few weeks, they're hyped up, they're excited. After a month, they don't do it anymore. And so because that is such a common pattern, when I tell people is like, don't invest a lot of money up front. Don't buy a $5,000 camera because you have this plan that you're going to be a big YouTuber and you buy a $3,000 course and microphone and video editor if you've never actually just done it. And what I recommend is like, just do it. Just start. Pull out your phone, record some videos. And if you can do it and upload a video every single week for 2 months, then you can justify investing in a $5,000 camera and setup. So like that, staying consistent and motivated actually is a really tough challenge a lot of people go through. And so back to your point about how do you use Facebook and Facebook video in your business? So Facebook, you're not going to get discovered by new people, right? Facebook is not good for growing an audience and being discovered from your content. But if you already have an audience, video is fantastic to stay in front of that audience. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram's not great for building an audience and getting discovered. Same thing for podcasts. Actually, it's really hard for your podcast to get discovered. But I had a conversation with Katie Day, and what she's explained to me is that Facebook and Instagram, she gets a lot of repeat clients and a lot of client referrals and a lot of agent to agent referrals because of her content. So if your Facebook's essentially a database, all your friends and family who will use you or refer you to other people. So by creating video content, real estate video content, you're staying in front of them week after week after week after week, providing value, and just staying top of mind with them. And you're building a deeper relationship with them. So that's the real play with Facebook and Instagram, in my opinion, is that you're going after repeat clients, you're going after referrals from your family and friends, and even agent-to-agent referrals.
Well, I think you nailed it, because I mean, so many people, and again, I heard this buzz at Marketing Edge this week, which is so many people. Okay, well, I've been doing Facebook videos. Questions have been doing consistently, but say they haven't. It's like, well, I'm not getting anything from it. And I think you nailed it here for the audience, which is you're not going to get anything out of it. You're not going to be. It's not something you're going to develop a new audience. What you're going to get, and you're not necessarily going to see, but you're going to get that at the top of mind of the sphere. You're going to get that call from your sphere that's going to say, hey, you know what, I saw your, and maybe they're not even mentioning that I saw your video, but they're watching it, right? And maybe they didn't comment, but they're watching it, they're taking it in. And that's just going to help develop your sphere. I mean, it's better, I said to someone this week, it's not 1999. Don't send a recipe card, but if you're out there with these videos, it's a way to really to build your sphere. And I think that's where, it's like the two payoffs are: be consistent, right? Because that will basically lead to something you can't see it, but it's that intangible. And be consistent, number one. And then number two, just watch it, how it impacts your sphere. And I think you've laid out the right formula for an agent to get started with video, right? Don't jump in there and buy the $10,000 worth of equipment. And don't go out there and necessarily say, hey, I'm going to, I'm going to be, Mr. Beast. Start small, go with Facebook, build it up, grow, get deeper with your sphere, because that's what we should be doing anyway today as agents. Now, let's say we've done all that, and now we're taking the big jump to YouTube. How did you get started in doing YouTube videos?
Yeah.
Is it a once a week post, or tell us about that?
Yeah. And so kind of tying it back to what I was saying before, YouTube is fantastic for getting discovered by new people and building an audience. Facebook, not so much. Instagram, not so much. LinkedIn, not so much. Podcast, not so much. YouTube is how you can build an audience. And so how did I get started? I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, just for fun, just for entertainment purposes. And then, when I got out of the military in 2017, and I was like, okay, it's got to be a way to combine all this YouTube experience I have with real estate. And so I've been experimenting and trying things ever since 2017 on YouTube for my real estate business. And I'll tell you, one of the most important lessons for me is that if your goal, so there's a couple of different business models that work well for real estate agents on YouTube. There's not just one type of channel. If your goal is lead generation, then the most effective type of channel, there are going to be two types of channels that are effective for that. One is going to be a hyper local channel where you only upload content about your real estate market,
about your city,
about your town, about moving there, about living there. Yes. The other type that is really effective for lead generation is going to be listing video channels. And we could dive into both of those a little bit different models as well, if you like. But what I don't want people to do is, there's a third type where you make broad real estate content that is appealing to a national audience. So for example, I have a video, how to get your house ready to sell, and it's up to 80,000 views on my YouTube channel, which sounds great, but those people are all around the country. They're not in my local market. So like, even if they are interested in buying a home, I only cover like a little 30-minute radius around my house. Like, what are the chances of somebody who watches that video is actually in my market? Slim to none. So that type of broad content is not effective at generating real estate leads. And it actually confuses the algorithm on YouTube of who your target audience is, because you want your target audience to be people interested in your city, in your town, and moving there. And if somebody's in Nebraska and Ohio and Cleveland are watching your videos, YouTube doesn't have that clear idea of who your target audience is. So for most people, I'd say choose one of two models. Either one is the listing video channels or hyper local channels. You can do the third model. Just know it's not really for lead generation. That's going to be more for brand building, for credibility. You can get agent-to-agent referrals from that. You can get outbound referrals as well, where you can connect people around the country, but it's not going to generate hyper local leads for you.
Well, I think it's interesting because, I have seen in studied a lot of people on YouTube, but I've never heard it broken down that succinctly. But it's funny when you were saying those three different models, it's interesting because it's like, I was immediately thought of like different people, Brad McCollum for the listening tours. And so, I mean, so you just start thinking of people that have done it, and that's really what happens here. And I think what we've seen some people here try to do some things I've seen locally here in, be it in the Detroit area or Michigan, that maybe have said, I'm going to do a local, but it's based on Michigan, so it's too broad. Or and they just haven't missed it. But I think you kind of nailed those three models, which is a key, which I think is a key distinction and a key point.
And here's the thing. So you mentioned Brad McCallan, this category of listing video YouTube channels, I could actually break that out into 3 separate listing video models. So you have Brad McCallan, he does luxury listing videos, and his are very entertaining. They're fun. Awesome. He uses storytelling in there. He's built a huge personal brand, huge influence from that. And he does one of those for every single one of his listings. And these are his personal listings, are almost all resale homes. And so that's one model right there that works very effectively. Then you have somebody like Shannon Gillette, and she hires a videographer and she does something similar. She does good listing videos. They're usually a lot shorter, and she runs them as YouTube ads. And she does this in her hyper local market. And what's great about YouTube advertisement is that you can get really specific about who your target audience is. A couple of years ago, you could really dive in the details with Facebook ads. They took that ability away, but you can really get, down to like the neighborhood and people interested in buying homes with YouTube ads. I would say this is a whole nother rabbit hole. If you're going to do YouTube ads, don't do it on the same channel that you're trying to grow organically. Have a dedicated channel just for listing videos that you're doing as YouTube ads. So Shannon Gillette has a different business model than Brad McCallan. And then you have somebody like Raj Sahu, who's at Real Broker. Yeah. All 3 of these people are at Real Broker, by the way. And what Raj does is he focuses on new construction, and he does these real bare bone videos where it's just him. He's got a gimbal, and he just kind of does these slow walkthroughs of these new construction homes.
And they're long videos.
They're 20, 30 minutes. And it's just a slow, smooth tour. He takes them back, and then he adds narration to it. And it's almost one cut. It's one take. And that works incredibly effective for him. And he focuses exclusively on new construction. And why he does that is because if you did a resale home, people are not really going to watch that for after 2 weeks, the home's already sold. So why would somebody watch it after that? They can't buy it. It's really just for entertainment purposes, which is why Brad makes this so entertaining. But Raj focuses on new construction. And the benefit to that is that you do a home tour like that, that video could be relevant for 2 years, 3 years. As long as that builder is building that model, people are going to be watching that video, and it's going to be generating.
That's a great point, Malcolm. That's a great point. I mean, it's like, because I think, agents are here, I know, have tried, well, I'm going to do basically take Raj's, thing, which he's never in any of his videos, by the way. It's just really, they're all voiceovers, which I think is just incredible.
Very different from Brad.
He joined our event earlier this year, and he was sharing with me after the event. And he said, that's just not him. So he's got a very narrow model, and it's working. But to your point, it's all new home sales. So it's like, there's a long shelf life there, where if you're in a resale home, it's like, it's going to be sold. And it's like, no one wants to watch an old video. And I think it's where Brad's kind of figured out. So it's a key distinction. It's interesting here that you've said all this, because all 3 are at Real. And how has, now, so you've been at Real 3 years. How has being at Real kind of helped shape your approach to YouTube and video marketing?
Yeah, it's been huge, because it's conversations like this. It's networking, is tapping into a community. And, if you look at the culture of Real Broker, I think that Real Broker, the leadership has a culture of innovation. They're constantly trying new things, experimenting. They're on the frontier of technology in the real estate industry. And I feel like it really trickles down and has attracted a lot of agents that have a culture of innovation, right? So Brad McCallan pioneered this business model. He established this business model. And I think his team does $120 million a year in sales volume. And he's an established luxury agent. Raj Sahu established this business model. And so we have these pioneers in these spaces figure out what's working today in 2024 around social media. And the interesting thing about our culture is most agents, almost all agents of this company own stock in this company. So it's not like we're working for real, we're owners in this company. And so we're sharing this knowledge much more abundantly than you may at another business model. If you think about like I used to work at, a franchise brokerage, and I would only be able to network and connect with the 200 agents that are actually at my brokerage, but really only like a quarter of them would actually even come into the office for me to network and connect with them. So let's say I got 50 people in my office that I can get training from and I can network with. But if there's, out of those 50 people, if nobody knows anything about video or YouTube or social media or online marketing, like I don't get to connect with those people. I don't get to get that training. And so I love that we have almost a 20,000 agent community and network all across the country. And we're all connected because we're all owners in this company, and we just share knowledge and information and collaborate all the time. And I love that culture that we have here. And it's been huge about video.
I think I think you nailed it. When you talk about the culture, obviously both you and I are talking to real agents all the time, and agents that are not with real. And what, the difference comes up, to real, I keep hearing is culture, right? Well, it's one thing to say that, right? But you actually basically quantified that. And by that, I mean, it's like the biggest thing that, the biggest advantage I think we have, which is our perceived disadvantage, which is, oh, you don't have an office. Okay, let's talk about that. And you just did. And it's like, okay, we're all used to this. I came from the same place you did. And it's like, okay, you got a 200-person markets that are 200-person office. And in the end, you're only going to learn from those 200, and it's 80-20, right? There's only going to be 20% that are going to be there super active, that are learning and growing. And it's like the learning is limited. Plus it's tied to a physical location. Now it's like you just take the blinders off, and it's like the world opens up, and now it's like 20,000 people. It's like, and what do we have? 150 courses a week in Real Academy.
So I think we have over 200 online courses in the Real Academy. We have over 24 reoccurring masterminds that you can tap into, including weekly masterminds by like Tim Macy and Katie Day. And then we have about 30 live stream trainings every single week. And all of this training is open up to everybody at the company. I even do a monthly mastermind all about YouTube, open to everybody in the company, where we have conversations just like this around video marketing and YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's the incredible difference. Where you're going to learn, and it sounds like when you joined Real 3 years ago, it's like you already had a great background in YouTube, but just a lot of your thinking developed and grew because of just masterminding with real agents. Is that a fair statement?
Literally today. So like I'm really good at YouTube, Instagram. I'm figuring that out. I've really been focusing on that the last year or so. And I was masterminding with Katie Day today about like, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are your thoughts on this? How do you like this? Ed Stulak's another guy really crushing it with Instagram. I think he's got like 50,000 followers on there. And I've been masterminding with him the last week about like, what are your thoughts on this? How should I do this? How do you do captions? And it really is just, Sharon Lawson says collaboration over competition. And just the fact that we're all in this together, we're all getting rev share, we all have stock, like we are building something together, and it just really fosters that sense of collaboration that I've never found anywhere else.
It's culture and collaboration, or maybe it's one of the same. And that's, I think, and on Instagram too, it's interesting because you mentioned two very, Ed's a great dancer, and he can do that on Instagram. He can pull up. Katie's not dancing, but her Instagram, I mean, they're equally Instagram rock stars. Each have a different style, and I think that's what I've also loved about Real is that you can you're seeing all these different things, and it's like you can pick and choose to make it be about what fits you and your brand. That's what I've seen just being so powerful.
100%. A big part of this whole game when getting into vision is like you have to figure out what really appeals to you. And like for me, I do a lot of blogging as well. And I like writing 1,000 to 5,000 word articles that are well researched and citing all my sources. And I like making 45-minute long videos about topics. That's my style. Somebody like Ed, he likes making skits and bits and funny dancing videos around real estate. Somebody like Katie Day, she likes doing 1 minute long vertical educational videos about real estate, about video marketing. You have somebody like Dustin Brom. He recently joined. He has the Massive Agent podcast. And what he likes to do on Instagram is make Instagram memes for real estate agents. So kind of like I broke down that there's several different business models on YouTube. There's several different like styles and models on Instagram for real estate agents as well. And it's fantastic just seeing these different models and be able to check, okay, this is the one that appeals most to me. This is the one that resonates most to me. This is what I want to focus on. And you get that here because you have all these different agents that you can kind of learn from.
Yeah, that's powerful. You mentioned something, your blog. Now, when you say is that you're writing the blog and then making the video about it? Are they connected or are they separate, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it sounds nerdy, but I'm really into blogging. And so I have livinginmaryland.com. That website gets about 50,000 visitors a year completely organically.
Wow.
It generates me about 2 to 3 real estate leads a day, all from blogging. And then
blogging.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And now I also have next-genagents.com, put content up there about Real Broker. That one is only a year old. It's getting 2,700 visitors a month, which I'm really happy with. If you type in something like EXP versus LPT, my article ranks #1 for that, and it ranks really high for a lot of other search terms like that. And so what I've figured out is that I actually like writing the article first. And I think like blogging and YouTube videos are very synergistic. Like they kind of benefit from one another. And so I like writing for that one, for example, I did an article comparing the cost of Real versus EXP versus LPT. I wrote a 5,000 word article citing all of my sources, custom graphics, creating a spreadsheet that calculate all the costs and fees.
All in the blog.
Yeah. And I ran multiple scenarios. And the benefit to doing that is like afterwards, I knew that topic inside and out. And I fact checked every single one of my facts, ran multiple scenarios, and then I made the video. And it makes making the video so much easier because like I've done all that research. Yeah.
Right. And I think and I've heard, different people, different YouTubers have told me the key to success is preparation. And that's ultimately what your blog's about, right? Because now it's your point. Now you are a complete subject matter expert. Doing the video is easy. You're not reading it. You're not reading a script. You're out there you're now an expert because you've learned it through the blog. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. And so sometimes, and I do this in my real estate business as well, I'll research and write an article first. If you think about if you're going to write a script for a video, let's say pros and cons of moving to Annapolis, Maryland, you're going to write an outline or a script. That script is like 80% the way to just being a blog post. So just make the dang blog post. If you think a topic is good for a YouTube video, it's also going to be good for an article. And I often will have my call to action in videos like, hey, go check out the complete article that I wrote with additional links and resources linked down below. So I'll send people to my website. And the good thing about that is they can visit your website, then you can retarget them with Facebook and Google pay-per-click ads. You can have other call to actions. And as far as the Google algorithm goes, one of the metrics that they look at is if somebody clicks on your article, how long are they on that article for? And one of the best ways to keep somebody on an article is to embed a video or maybe multiple videos in that article. So if they click on pros and cons article and then they watch the entire 15-minute long video embedded in that article, that is a fantastic signal to Google that this article is, really like beneficial. And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. Like it's huge. You can generate a lot of leads from that. But Google is the first largest search engine in the world. Yeah. And
sister.
Yeah. And there's many topics that I have where search terms where my articles will rank like #1 and then my video will rank like #3. So I have an article and a video for the same search term on Google. So yeah, I think I think there's a lot of synergy between blogging and articles.
And you'll put those videos in there. Those are going back to your channel.
Yeah. You can just embed them in there. And sometimes I'll look for excuses to embed 2, 3, 4 videos, and I would challenge somebody. Can you write an article that provides so much value that somebody clicks on it and is on it for an entire hour? Like I was telling you, I wrote this 5,000 word article, all these scenarios with a 45-minute long video. Somebody could easily spend an entire hour on that article digesting that information. And that's why the article ranks #1 for a lot of great search terms.
because they're in that article, looking at the videos, and then those videos will go right back to your channel as well. So then
Yeah,
it's getting promoting your channel,
getting me views, getting me subscribers. I'll tell you a mantra that I love. There's a saying that the harder something is to do, the less competition you have. And that's why I like doing these hard things. I like doing these big 5,000 word articles because nobody else is doing it. And I've got zero competition right now. So yeah, keep that in mind for your local market. The harder something is to do, the less competition you have. And I would say that YouTube is the hardest social media platform out of all of them. And you're gonna have the least amount of competition on YouTube because of that.
Well, I think too, but that's almost kind of, it takes us full circle. So it's like, but someone could say, I'm going to get started with video on Facebook, and I could start writing a blog for my website, and tying those two together. And maybe that's a way to start.
Yeah.
So you've got those two, and then eventually then work your way up to where you're doing YouTube and juicing it in essence through your blog.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great way to start. I don't know. I don't know if you can embed Facebook videos in articles. It'd be cool if you could. If you could, do it. I'm not sure about that. But
would you? Yeah, but would you say is okay? So if I'm going to write an article, let's say I read an article on my website, and then maybe what I'm doing, if I'm not there with YouTube, would you do like an unlisted video? Would you do that? And to keep them on your website, or would you just come up with a YouTube channel for those embedded videos?
I usually just put it on YouTube. Worst case, because you may get some people who click through to your YouTube channel video. So if they see my video, they're like, oh, this guy does YouTube videos. Let me click on this, and you can go to their channel from that. So you may get some subscribers, probably not a lot doing that way, but you can get some that way. So you might as well.
Yeah, and in the end, if your goal is not necessarily YouTube yet, and you're just kind of learning video, I mean, in essence, it doesn't much matter if you're getting maybe some traction on your YouTube channel, but if your focus is just getting comfortable on video and maybe getting your blog down, it's the byproduct is, okay, your YouTube channel is growing a little bit, but it's no harm, no foul if you're just if you're not necessarily leading with that YouTube channel yet.
Yeah, let's say you do want to do a video and you want to do it on Instagram or Facebook. Just write an article first and use that as an outline. Use that as an outline or for your video afterwards.
Well, this has been a great discussion. So two different things I want to ask you before we close out. Number one, and this is really to two different people. The first person is just getting started with video. You would get started on Facebook. You would do what? A reel a week? Is that what you suggested?
So probably the easiest thing is actually the stories. So stories on Facebook and Instagram, they disappear after 24 hours. So if you have anxiety about doing it, start doing some stories, and you literally just do like, hey, check out this open house I'm about to do, or check out this great listing that I'm about to do. Do a story and it disappears in 24 hours. That could really kind of get you started there, being comfortable with it. If you wanted to level up from that, I like Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels. And yeah, so there's a dichotomy between quality and quantity that we often run into. And so I would say that if something's really high quality, you're going to do less quantity of it. If something like an Instagram Reels pretty easy, you could do quite a few of those a week. But yeah, I guess if you're starting off, do one a week. That's a good goal just to get that momentum going. But don't be afraid to do 2 a week or 3 a week. These are fairly simple to do. And I like Katie Day's style where she'll set up her phone and she has a list of just topics, how to write a competitive offer, or what is, why the difference between a conventional and a VA loan, these different topics. And she just does Instagram Reels around those things, just explaining them.
I love her style. And I think that's, we all have to find our own voice and our own perspective and our own brand on social. But what she's done is, and this is a compliment, it's very simple. It really is, where she's just, to your point, she comes up with a topic and she just talks about it. It's really that easy. And they're not highly produced. They're not, but they're good. They're entertaining. And she does a very good job of telling the story. So that's good. So that's one. So now the other person would be, okay, I've got a YouTube channel. I may or may not have picked a kind of a business model yet. What would you suggest in terms of next steps for that person that's trying to grow their YouTube channel?
Yeah, so a lot of people say that like consistency is key, but here's the truth. it's only key if you're doing the right things, right? It's only key if you're doing the
True.
right types of videos.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many people that are super consistent, but like they're just making these mistakes. And so what I would say is like try to seek to get 1% better with every single video. And a big part of YouTube is actually the thumbnail and the title. And you need to consider your thumbnail and title part of your content. And it's just a common mistake that a lot of people make is they don't put enough emphasis and time in creating clickable titles and clickable thumbnails. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd say get consistent and try to get better every single video and do some research. Here's the best thing you can do. Go find 3 other channels that are doing exactly what you want to do and study them. Study what do their thumbnails look like? What do their titles look like? How do they structure their call to actions? How long are the videos? How are they editing the videos? And really kind of learn like what is working in that niche for you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So you also, I believe, have a course and also help people with their YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah, honestly, if you want to take YouTube seriously, you can go to my website, next-gen.agents, and schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. This is good if you already have a YouTube channel. And then I can take a deep dive, spend an hour with you. And I usually do about an hour worth of research ahead of time to really dissect your channel. Like, hey, like your thumbnails, you're making these mistakes. Your titles, you're making these mistakes. You have too many call to actions. Your call to actions too early. It's too late. The pacing is off, the description, the tags. Like we'll do a deep dive in all of this.
That's great.
And I've seen so many people that have been consistent. They've been doing it for a year. They're about to give up on YouTube because everybody tells them that consistency is, the most important thing.
Yeah.
But like their titles are terrible. Their thumbnails are terrible. Their call to actions are not the right ones. And so having some kind of consultation with somebody, make sure you're on the right path and then be consistent. I think that's a really good strategy for a lot of folks.
Well, and give us that URL again. So it's next-gen-agents.com. Perfect. Yeah, it's I think the light bulb went off my head today because I think we are just so trained to hear like consistency, and it's tough for agents to remain consistent. Then when they do, they're like, well, I didn't get the results.
Yeah.
I was consistent. Well, the reality is, like you said, if you keep doing the wrong things over and over and over again, they're not going to magically become the right things.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that.
You have to try to improve with every single video. I still do this today. Every video, I try to get better. You can go back 12 months and you'll probably see like my thumbnails have slowly evolved because even today I'm constantly tweaking them. Yeah. And trying to make everything better, trying to make my presentation better, my hooks better, my call to actions better, my pacing, my editing, all of that. You constantly have to try to improve in this game.
That's fantastic. So, and again, if you gave us the website, but if anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of Malcolm Lawson?
Yeah, hit me up on Instagram. Next.gen.agent is my hashtag on Instagram. Find me on Facebook, Malcolm Lawson, and then I got a YouTube channel as well, Next Gen Agents on YouTube.
That's great. That's great. Well, Malcolm, thank you very much for your time. And again, if anyone's got any questions, they want to take their YouTube level to the next game or video marketing to the next game, or any questions about Reel, get in touch with Malcolm today. So thank you, Malcolm. We'll talk to you on the next video.
All right, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me on, man. This was some fun.
Thank you.